I've always been a skeptic. Ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, you name it. I probably rolled my eyes. I loved hiking, sure, but for the fresh air and the challenge, not to chase myths. My favorite spot was a remote trail in the Pacific Northwest, a place so deep in the wilderness you could walk for days and not see another soul. It was on one of those solo hikes that my entire worldview was turned upside down. The day started like any other. I had my pack, my map, and a sense of adventure. The sun was filtering through the ancient canopy of pines and firs, creating this magical, almost sacred atmosphere. I was about 6 hours into my trek, heading for a hidden lake I'd heard about from an old forestry map. The trail was getting faint. More of a deer path than a human one, and I was relying heavily on my compass. That's when I noticed it. The silence. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of the forest. It was a heavy, watchful silence. The birds had stopped singing. The squirrels were gone. An eerie feeling crept over me, like I was being watched. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was just getting spooked by being alone. I pushed forward, but the feeling intensified. I'd catch a flicker of movement in my peripheral vision, a shadow that seemed just a bit too solid, too quick. Then I started hearing things, a soft footfall that wasn't mine, the snap of a twig far too close for comfort. I stopped and called out, "Hello? Anyone there?" Only the echo of my own voice answered. My heart started pounding. Something was out there with me. I picked up my pace, my casual hike turning into a nervous scramble. The terrain grew steeper and more treacherous. I was so focused on whatever was behind me that I was on T, paying enough attention to where I was going. My foot slipped on a patch of wet moss covering a rock. I went down hard, my ankle twisting beneath me with a sickening crunch. A wave of sharp, searing pain shot up my leg. I tried to stand, but the moment I put weight on it, I collapsed back to the ground, crying out in agony. Panic set in. I was miles from the trailhead, with a broken ankle, and something was stalking me. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, and the forest was growing darker, more menacing. The rustling in the underbrush got closer. I braced myself, grabbing a thick branch to use as a makeshift weapon. I was terrified, convinced I was about to face a bear or a mountain lion. Through a thicket of ferns, a figure emerged. It wasn't a bear. It was small, maybe 4 feet tall, covered in shaggy, reddish-brown hair. It walked on 2 legs, with long arms and large, dark, intelligent eyes that stared right at me. It wasn't an animal, and it wasn't human. It was a child. A baby Bigfoot. My fear was instantly replaced by sheer astonishment. He looked just as scared as I was. He tilted his head, making a soft, cooing sound, almost like a question. He took a hesitant step toward me. I stayed perfectly still, my makeshift club lowered. He pointed at my swollen ankle, then let out a low, mournful whimper. It was a sound of pure empathy. He understood I was hurt. The creature, this young Sasquatch, then did something I'll never forget. He turned and disappeared back into the trees. My heart sank. I thought he'd been scared off, but a few minutes later, he returned. He was carrying a handful of something. A come closer, knelt down, and gently laid a poultice of chewed-up leaves and what looked like moss directly onto my injured ankle. It was surprisingly cool and soothing. He sat with me, his big, dark eyes never leaving my face. He seemed to be guarding me. As dusk turned to night, the forest came alive with sounds, but the strange rustling that had been following me was gone. This little guy had scared it away. He was protecting me. He stayed by my side all night. Every time I'd stir from the pain, he'd make that soft, reassuring cooing sound. He was a silent, furry guardian angel. When the first light of dawn broke through the trees, he stood up. He pointed back in the direction I had come from, then patted his chest and pointed at me. It was clear he was telling me to go back, that it wasn't safe to continue. Then he let out a series of short, high-pitched calls. A few moments later, a much larger, darker shape moved in the deep woods. A deep, resonant call answered his. Issa. Perrin, he looked at me one last time, with an expression I can only describe as concern, then turned and ran into the forest, disappearing to join his family. I was left alone again, but the fear was gone, replaced by a profound sense of awe and gratitude. Using a large branch as a crutch, I began the long, painful journey back to the trailhead. The poultice he had applied had actually reduced the swelling enough for me to hobble. It took me the entire day. But primera ma de italiano. When I finally got to a hospital, the doctor confirmed it. A clean break in my fibula. He was also baffled by the plant matter stuck to my skin, saying he'd never seen anything like it. I've never told this story to anyone. Who would believe me? They'd say I was delirious from the pain, that I imagined it all. But I know what I saw. I have the scar on my ankle and the vivid memory of those kind, intelligent eyes. A baby Bigfoot saved my life. He showed me compassion and bravery when I was at my most vulnerable. My skepticism is gone, replaced by the certainty that there are wonders in this world far beyond our understanding, hiding just out of sight in the deep, silent woods. I don't hike that trail anymore. It feels like sacred ground now, his home, and I owe him my life. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've had a similar encounter or believe in the unexplained, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories from the edge of our world. See you next time.